All right, good morning, everybody. We will convene this regular Board of County Commission meeting in Teller County, Boca, Colorado, in the Centennial Building. Today is September 26, 2024. We appreciate you all showing up today, and we'll get started with Commissioner Williams leading us in the invocation. And our Crystal Brown, our elected treasurer and public trustee, will lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to serve the great residents of Teller County. Thank you for this time of year, for the time of harvest, the time of plenty, and preparation for the winter. We pray that the folks in Florida and surrounding areas are spared, showing your mercy in the hurricane that's going to hit this evening. And we remember that division sometimes solved through diversity. We just don't want to see that much division anymore. We appreciate it. In His name, amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. First up, we have some minutes from our August 20th meeting. I did not have any other corrections.
I did not even, Mr. Chair.
That would be it. I didn't have any corrections either, Mr. Chair. With that, I would move to approve the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners, Teller County, Colorado, dated August 20th, 2024, as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes?
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes. And then next up, we have an accounts payable run dated 9/24/2024. And I didn't have any comments on that one.
That is either, Mr. Chair.
I didn't have anything of note.
With that, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable dated September 24th, 2024, the amount of $678,069.13 as presented and written.
Second. Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes. All right, and the next agenda item is board reports. Commissioner Stone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of really busy things on my schedule right now that are dominating a lot of time and work on the Region 16 opioid opioid council, litigation council. And we are in the process of doing some strategic planning within that group. And we have a new facilitator that we hired about 8 months ago, and we're to the point now where we're starting to really do some long-term planning, long-term look about what we really want to accomplish with this. Part of that is there will be a conference coming up, and I've informed the board of this as well. It's going to be up in Loveland at the state opioid policy convention, and this is where all the different regions across the state are going to come together. And after really the first full year of boards in place and beginning to stand up and do work and learn from each other, find out what people are doing. We here in Teller and El Paso counties, we've discovered one of the areas that we have very limited data on, but perhaps might be among the most impacted and the most highest risk groups of people in regard to youth. And it's youth from age 10 to about 21 that are being severely impacted, not only by the opioid crisis, but also by what feeds a lot of the opioid crisis, which is high potency marijuana in Colorado. And because of that, yesterday I attended a lunch and learn with DA Michael Allen as his guest. He was the host of the event, and we had people coming from all over the country to talk about opioid crisis and the impacts of high potency cannabis, and combining that with social media. And kind of had my eyes blown wide open by a lot of what I've learned. I knew social media was prevalent. Obviously, I've worked in it for many years, but the ways that social media is now being used to sell cannabis, to sell opioids openly is astounding. that they're simply using code words. And there's a guy that showed us, he pulled it up on his phone, he went on Instagram and pulled up hashtag Colorado Springs, Colorado, and about every 10th thing that was tagged with that was pictures with no words of what was obviously illicit substances for sale in Colorado. And I know we talk a lot with our sheriff and others about, situations here in Teller County, not only dealing with cartels, but also dealing with people and families that are impacted, by drug addiction and kind of what that does to our county. And sometimes, here on the south side of the county, we see it a little more. But it's really astounding, and I think we're going to have some legislative fixes to it. And one of the things that's interesting, and this is now shown through hundreds of studies, is that when Colorado legalized marijuana, the average amount of potency in cannabis or marijuana products was about 5%. Today, it's pushing 70% on average. So the amount of cannabis that is in the product that people are buying, whether it's edibles or vapes, and vapes, by the way, are a huge problem with youth because they're easily disguisable for things which are not illicit. And anyway, the potency of those has created new problems that nobody ever saw coming because it had never been seen before. And basically, the old adage of the cannabis is, the pot is not addictive is no longer true. Evidently, that was mostly true, except for behavioral addiction, not physical addiction, back when the potency was 5%. But now as it's averaging 70%, and you can actually buy 99.9% pure THC over the counter anytime you want. And just a drop of it, is, amazingly powerful. What's happening is not only are people actually getting addicted, but also because of the potency of it, is that people no longer get the high off of it like, what they used to. So they start seeking things which will give them that high, opioids, and they move over to fentanyl. And the studies and the data out there are showing that about 90%. They talk about gateway products, and people like to, what the reality is now there is a very clear and link between high potency marijuana and the use of opioids. It's due to the addictive nature of high potency cannabis. I think our legislature has got to do something about it. They passed a couple of laws in 2022 in regards to packaging, but nothing in regards to potency. I'm not sure that we can, but I think we need to try. I think we need to do everything we can because it's, as much as opioids have become, the #1 public health crisis in the country, as more and more states legalize marijuana, I truly believe that high potency cannabis will be right on its heels as the second greatest health crisis in the country. So anyway, I'll be going to that conference on the 19th, this coming Monday. And so I'll head up on Sunday night and meet with other ROACs around the region and see what we can learn from each other. Hopefully we can come up with stuff, because the data that we don't have about youth and their usage, it's just simply not there. The data we do have is flawed. So we truly don't know how deep the problem is. So it's one of the things that this particular ROAC wants to work on, ROAC being the Region 16 opioid council. So anyway, we're going to be working on that, but it's, like I said, it was very eye-opening and really sad. We've spoken before about the groups that are coming, or that talk to us that are addicted to fentanyl or opioids, and or people are recovering from that. The very clear connection between what we have made legal, and mushrooms probably are just going to add to the mix of things that what I'll continue to call illicit substances do nothing but prepare someone for seeking the next thing, and that's fentanyl and opioids. On a brighter note, though, I also attended the Teller Senior Coalition meeting this past Thursday, and Teller Senior Coalition is thriving. The services that they provide to our community, just are tremendous. Their use of their medical rides that they provide for our residents has continued to increase. They're adding a couple more fleet vehicles. They'll be adding, they've received a grant now for they're calling it a bus barn, but they don't have buses. They have vehicles and shuttles, but they need to get those under some kind protection so they can do maintenance and take care of those vehicles. And they have received both planning grants and also initial grants for that. And they're hoping within the next couple of years to, to get a maintenance facility built, probably after the Divide area, near where their offices are. But again, they're doing great, and Kathy Lowry and her team are really our rock stars for our community. And by the way, those medical rides and all of the transit rides that they do are available to anyone. It's not just seniors. So if you have a need, you need to get to a medical appointment, or you need a ride somewhere, please reach out to the Total Senior Coalition because they can probably help you out. Lastly, and I know Bob was out of town, and so I committed to online attending the CCI, the Colorado Counties Incorporated Steering Committee meetings this last Friday. We spent all day going through propositions from counties across the state on legislative issues. Construction defects did come up again, which was an issue I helped champion last year that we didn't get across the finish line, but it's going to come back again. And then, not surprisingly, tax issues came up, and with the lack of control over property tax issues by local government, where the legislature is stepping in, and it seems like every year they're changing. And the problems those create for counties and local governments is that from year to year, you get a little whiplash as to what your revenue sources are and what your stream is. And, we're trying to adopt a budget when they just had a legislative session 6 weeks ago to change yet again the formula for how we will do that. So counties are looking for ways to stabilize their revenue streams just so it's predictable, so that we can predictably provide services to our residents. There are some different ideas coming from around the state, everything from the ability to levy unincorporated tax, which currently doesn't exist in the state, to being able to use certain taxes in different ways and loosen up for different type of taxes that come in that are currently earmarked that maybe could get better use. They're kind of exploring all things, so we'll see what comes out of that as we move closer to the legislature. Then on another note, I have spoken with Senator Mark Baisley. There are portions of the new concealed carry instruction law that have come into effect, and that's in regards to the certification of firearms instructors by local sheriff's departments. And our local sheriff's department has enacted a program of certification. But as with many rushed and not well thought out laws, one of the problems with this is that for instructors, once they get certified by a sheriff's department, that's not good enough for any other sheriff's department under the new law. So, and many people are probably aware I am an NRA firearms instructor, and at times have done classes for folks and first responders. But they come from all over. They come from Park County, they come from Douglas County, Western El Paso County, as well as our own county. And previously that wasn't an issue because the previous law simply said that you had to be an NRA certified instructor, or as one of the pathways to receiving a concealed carry permit. And now the law says you must be certified by your local sheriff, which means that if somebody who lives 6 miles north of Woodland Park comes to a class in Woodland Park, and I'm not certified with the sheriff of Douglas County, then you can't use my class as the instruction that's required in the concealed carry law. So from that, I've gone to Mark Baisley. I've also, of course, spoken with our sheriff about it, and he fully supports the idea to foster and sponsor legislation to essentially create reciprocity among counties. That if a county sheriff in Teller County, under the law, has properly certified an instructor, that any other county in Colorado should recognize that certification. Because otherwise, if you're running around spending a lot of money, trying to make sure that you're certified in other counties in case you have somebody from other counties coming in. So we're hopeful. It sounds very common sense, but there's not a lot of common sense voiced out in the legislature, so we'll see how that one goes. But I'm appreciative of Senator Baisley for his willingness to sponsor that legislation. And with that, I think I will wrap it up with that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I appreciate all your work on the Opioid Council. Eric, in reference CCI, again, Bob was gone, so I was able to attend that online as well. Eric is our legislative rep. We do that every year. We choose one of us to. It's hours of his day, and then he leases back. We get one vote as a county. So I will say what I saw this year is a little more bipartisanship, but I also saw it's an election year. And so we have several currently active legislators that are running for higher office. And so you see some of that. Like Eric said, the taxation is really frustrating because we just want it to stop so we can figure it out and what we're doing with our people. But thank you, sir, for all your leadership. Really excited again. You see a lot of advertisement. CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate. I sit on that board above several levels, executive board as well, governance board. So our 5th annual Light of Hope will be here next Wednesday, Youth Cultural Center. Doors open at 7. It's only hours 7:30, 8:30. We've probably already raised about $20,000 thanks to corporate sponsors like mine and different people. And I appreciate Caitlin being here, the bank. And so it's really an opportunity to have some of the local folks take a lot of courage to explain their story. Kids like, the folks back here and what they've been through. And we probably have, I'll just keep it generic, several dozen kids from Teller County in the program. And what that program is if you lose your children for whatever reason, abuse, state steps in, they're given, it's different than a guardian ad litem, they're given an advocate in the state of Colorado that does nothing but advocate for that child. The goal is always to give those children back to their natural parents if we can. It doesn't always help, it doesn't always work, but it's about $1,500 a person to train CASA, and that's what they use the money for. And I'll just say this, doors open at 7, 7:30, 8:30 next Wednesday at the Youth Cultural Center. All the proceeds that we raise will stay. So even though we work between us and El Paso, this is from Teller. I'm happy to have the other commissioners with us, Braver Angels. Obviously, Braver Angels, Holly may or may not be here today, but Holly runs, so it goes back to Lincoln, goes back to March 4th, 1861. We'd already had 7 states secede from the Union. Lincoln would be dead in 3.5 years. The country was falling apart, very divided, maybe worse than we are now, I think. And he gave an inaugural speech, one of the shortest speeches he gave, but he ended with, "The public can be saved if we can find the better angels of our nature." So hats off to Holly. I think, and Eric was there as well. And Bob's been a big supporter. And they basically just try to fill a room with people from different sides of the aisle. It's no secret blue versus red was this case, and it was about elections. So we had a member of Jason's team there. Pat came there. I really appreciate it, Pat. And, there was a lot of tension in the room as people came together. And that's really the sad thing. Residents and neighbors in Teller County who literally freeze up when they stand next to somebody. So what they do is they break down little circle groups, so the tension gets even higher, and then you have to go around a circle and say whether you lean blue or red. Doesn't really matter, but so you're sitting next to them and we talk. And so it was really interesting. They briefed us very quickly. They briefed us the higher level Braver Angels at the national level on election integrity. And what we found out is everybody's concerned about elections, just from different sides. And the 3 principles they gave us is 1, voting should be easy, but cheating should be hard. Most people agree on that. Every citizen should have an equal say in who will govern them, and that's done through free and fair elections. And the American government will fail if candidates refuse to accept the outcome of the victory. So, we're a nation of fans. When 2 football teams come together, the referee calls it, we walk away. We need to understand how that works. And hats off to our reporter who was there. Showed a lot of courage. It was really neat to see, as she reminded folks there who were agitated on both sides, that look, I swore an oath to the Constitution of Colorado State. There are statutes she has to follow. She shared some of her personal opinions, which is appreciated. So I think Eric and I texted that evening. A little depressing to see how dug in some people are, but I think at least now people can go home to their families and say, "Hey, I sat next to a Republican. I sat next to a Democrat. Or I heard one thing that they said that I can get along with." And so they don't attempt to change your mind. They just attempt to open your mind. So hats off to Holly. Very, very proud of her for doing that. They meet every month in the library for different issues. You can't always look at it. It's important. And again, I'll just, with regards to election integrity, I have full faith and confidence in Stephanie as all the commissioners and everything we can. And she'll probably talk a little bit about it. Moving on to crime, we had a joint statement that went out on crime, Jason and the 3 commissioners, and there's a statement there about homelessness. And I just want to clarify this. The nice thing about those statements is it starts a conversation. People call, like, what do you mean by? There is no one up on this dais that doesn't have empathy for homeless people. They're before the grace of God for all of us, right? A couple bad decisions, a bad divorce, lose your job, and you're living in a trailer that doesn't belong to you. When I was a kid here, we called them mountain men. I just buried one a month and a half ago, a mountain man that lived up here by himself on Vietnam for many years. So That's not what we're talking about. Eric kind of hinted to it, but crime is out of control in Colorado. And so Teller County's been targeted for fentanyl. You guys remember Jason Knight, and I was in conversation with Jason last night. He authorized me to say a few things on his behalf in terms of crime. We're in charge of life, health, safety. He's got public safety, so we work together. But we're being taken advantage of. And what I mean by that is, what do you do as a county commissioner when you get a call? Someone says, hey, there's somebody living on my land in somebody else's trailer. By the way, they're pooping on the ground and my well is right here. Or by the way, there are children there that should be in school. Or by the way, they shot at me. You know, all those things are happening. So fentanyl, crime, felons, our jails are not empty, but they're half empty because they're all in the mountains. And so again, I just want to clarify, we're not targeting homeless people, but there are really bad people hiding among the homeless people. All three of us sit on boards, from Senior Coalition to Aspen Mind Center to Partnership, that care about folks. And the term that we use now is giving them a hand up, not a handout. So all that empathy and compassion is there. But you elected us to take care of safety, and we're telling you there's some issues up here that we're getting after it. So Jason will have a statement probably later this week to clarify that. It's really to take care of our residents. The last thing I'll say is Eric did a really good job with it. You know, mushrooms is another example. I don't think any of us are up here saying you can't enjoy marijuana, you can't have Jack Daniels, you can't do whatever you're legally allowed to do. What we're telling you is things are happening that are taking control away. And so you come to this town and buy marijuana legally and don't spend the night and get free alcohol. And right now there's some over serving going on. We're looking at that as well. And then you get in your car and you cross over into unincorporated Teller County, you're going to endanger kids on school buses. You're going to run over people. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're going after. There are a lot of people that come up here that are in their mid-70s for the first time. They're not used to the altitude. They have 2 or 3 pre-existing conditions on oxygen. They're drinking too much and then they pop a gummy and wonder why it didn't kick in. So they pop the second one. Well, if you ever try that, you know, it takes a few hours. And then they get in the road and they drive through it. And so that's what Jason's seeing. And so we're not heavy-handed. You know, we owe it to you to be careful out there. And there's a lot of leaf lookers up here right now, as you know, and you know, they're all having fun. So I think I'll end it with that, but just a great time to be here. And I do ask you guys to keep forward in your prayers. That's a pretty big storm. It's almost 500 miles across. It's the entire state of Florida. So ask yourself how prepared Denver would be if they lost electricity and got 5 feet of snow to help Teller County. So it's going to be interesting to watch, and we'll see what it does, but keep me in prayers. With that, Ms. Church. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Just one additional item I'd like to throw out there with the Braver Angels seminars that I've gone to. It's about getting people in the room that don't necessarily have base beliefs and philosophies that they live by. It's about getting them in the room and having conversations that can be civil. And that's what Braver Angels likes to do. They like to explore topics and have conversations where you can get adults in the room and mix and match. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, or what subject or what the topic is for the week, but to have conversations with other people and have it in a civil manner. I've been to a few of those where, you know, it's amazing. If you create the right environment, you can have good constructive decisions. And sometimes some results come out of theirs where you can do something in the community. But it's about fostering communications and not getting outrageous and not getting animosity built up, but have a conversation with your neighbor who may not believe in everything you believe in. And it's not always political. Sometimes it's just philosophies of life. Sometimes it deals with religion or policies in the state. It's not an R&D discussion. Typically, it's about getting people together from different sides and having good constructive conversations and fostering it in a civil manner. So I appreciate you guys showing up for me when I wasn't in town, but thank you so much on that one. Been spending some time quite a bit with Pikes Peak Workforce as a board that I sit on. I lead right now, but trying to help Tracy through this. She's got another audit at the Pikes Peak Workforce Center. And it's another division of some state administration that are calling it a monitoring review. It really comes down to terminology. This is their 3rd audit they've had in the last 15 months, and they've been constant from CDOL at the federal level to CDLE at the Labor Department of the state. She has just got a target on her back right now, but the good thing is this one's coming out pretty good. But 3 audits in 1 year from different agencies. seems like a little bit of heavy handedness and this one, they're not finding anything, but that's okay. But I've been spending a lot of time helping with her as an ex-auditor. It's nice to have some eyes go down there and say, that's not what auditing should look like. That's not what a review should look like. So I've been doing it for a while. As you mentioned, I spent some family time, did some camping in the other parts of the country this week. Went over towards Independent Pass and spent a few days out there without cell phone coverage and just checking out, because it's nice not to answer that phone every 5 minutes or so. And then I've also got a buddy in town that I was in high school band with, and we've been friends for 50 years. So he lived in Phoenix most of his life. He recently moved to Georgia, but he's in town doing some caretaking, so I've been spending some time with him. It's nice to have friends that you grew up with 50 years ago. So it's been keeping me busy quite a bit. And I think at that, I'll leave it short. And we'll move on to the elected officials report. Crystal, I think you're
I
the one in the audience, and you go with Stephanie.
Right. Good morning, everyone. So I traveled to the big city of Lyman a couple of weeks ago. We had a conference there and it was very nice. It's nice. This is my second time as going as treasurer and public trustee, and I'm starting to fit in and, fill in the shoes and stuff. So I really enjoy it. And it's nice to go to the smaller ones. We'll be going to Loveland in October. It's more of everybody around the state, but I do like the smaller ones with the rounder tables because the conversation is always really nice. We learn so much. I do have, we've been getting ready for the tax lien sale that will be going on November 1st through the 4th. And we do have a little bit more this year. Last year we had 578 parcels. This year we have 644. So we do have a little bit more. We are 98% collected though, so that's good. We will be submitted that to the paper next week already, so that's crazy. And then I'll be back next month for a full report for my third quarter report for you. I'll be out next week. I have a personal thing going on, so looking forward to my son getting married. And I think that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Mr. Chair, any, in your discussions, Crystal, any legislation we should be watching for, any new ideas coming in? Treasurer, public trustee.
The only thing that we're still working on is a treasurer's deed. We're still working through that. A lot of the counties, because of big and small, we're trying to work together with how we're handling that. The vendors are still, which is very odd to me, they're not prepared for that. So we're doing it in Teller County by hand on those treasurer's deeds. So we are still signing those. There's a lot of counties that they're not taking any of those. So that's, and they're gonna revamp that legislation. And then also when we went into special session, which got shot down, right? I talked to Senator Baisley about, the 12-month payment and things. So hopefully that second session really calmed him down. So let's hope that we don't have to worry about that. But we'll never know what might happen.
Thank you.
But I appreciate you being there for us.
Congratulations on the wedding too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the one good thing about the Lyman conference is originally designed as the eastern counties, but it's 25 or 30 small counties that get together and get a roundtable and you get good discussion.
It's wonderful.
A great learning experience out there.
Absolutely.
The big metropolis of Lyman.
Yes. Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ms. Clerk, Stephanie.
There's not a lot going on in my world. So we sent out, we will be mailed out October 11th. We have a total of almost, I would say 19,100 ballots that would be available to vote. So we appreciate everybody voting your ballot. Ballot boxes open on October the 11th. Same time that ballots are put in the mail. We're not required to have them open that early. I did one year, open them on the day that was required, and I had a lot of people grouchy because they want to drop the ballot same day they got them. So I was very excited about that. So those are open on the 11th. I want to appreciate the invitation that I received from Greater Angels. I had never been to a meeting like that before. I was very impressed how they conduct their election and they keep it on track and they keep it on time. started when they said it was going to, ended when they said it was going to, and for the most part, it was really educational. It was kind of fun to relax and be in there and have group discussions, so I appreciate that. Vote center's open October 21st. Like I'm jumping around all over the place. It's election time, so I'm on the scatter. So I'm just gonna end it right there unless anybody has any questions.
Everyone's true. We've seen a couple of social media questions about poll watchers. Not the election judges, what's the policy and procedure on poll watchers?
If you want to become a poll watcher, you have to be endorsed, so to speak, by either a candidate, a ballot question or issue, and or a major party. So they have to be in contact with one of those. They have to complete the application. They have to complete online courses. They have to come to the clerk's office to be credentialed, and then they're able to visit the vote centers and election central to observe.
Is there some kind of split or something, Stephanie, that separates them from some that would just cause harm?
We make them wear party pack and carry a balloon. No. So they will have distinguishable name badges. And there are some that you can only interact with the lead judge that is out at the vote center or the designated person at election central. So they're strictly there to watch.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. I think that's it for elected officials, so we'll move off to our county administrator, Mr. Herzog.
Thank you, sir. I've been busy the last couple of days attending the International County and City Managers Association meeting. My takeaway is our problems are not unique to the rest of the country. But you know, housing, staffing, capital improvements, there was this year a big push on just some of the technological advances that have come through that you're starting to see in the you saw it in the private sector earlier, but just the use of AI and what policies and stuff incorporate that and how you can utilize some efficiencies. But overall, great conference. Good to have your Rolodex, to have those people available, phone calls when you're trying to solve problems. And going through this morning, I know one of the biggest questions was when is going to be our fall foliage peak time?
Yeah.
I think on the international model, it's going to be Saturday at 12:30. Other than that, just remind people, a lot of people are around the county right now that don't live around here. They don't know that their vehicle is obstructing the road around the corner when you come around. So watch for them and just keep yourself a few extra minutes and be neighborly light. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Victor has the art show every year, so they have painters out there painting at all kinds of places. We love seeing them. This is art month. But you'll like people come to me. Do you mind sharing what you shared with me? I called Ross on an issue yesterday and said, hey, how was the conference? Because we all do these things and, it's to be value added. You want to bring something back to Teller County. Do you mind talking about how collegial you think we are compared to some of the infighting that you saw that with comment?
Oh yeah, it is. I will say there's some divisiveness in the country right now. And very honored to be working here in Teller County. A reasonable approach and being able to listen to all sides and just that philosophy of once you get to the table, you're bringing everybody's opinion to that table to look at. So we appreciate working with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I noticed yesterday, heading back on 67, I think it was like 3:00 in the afternoon, there must have been 100 cars on 67. And I went around the corner right where the rock pit is, and there was literally a car stopped in the middle of the road, getting out of the car. And that has to be a point where there's like 100 feet on both sides of the road, but they stopped the car right in the middle of the road. So when you're out there driving, please be careful, watch for those leaf peepers, because some of those cars have kids in them too, and animals, and gotta be really careful on the roads next couple of weeks during the leaf season. So thank you. Department heads, I don't know if we have any additional directors or department heads in the room. See me. So now we'll move on for time reserved for public that don't have appointments on the agenda today. We have people who'd like to address. Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to come up to the podium.
Sure.
Welcome, Holly. We sang your praises in the first part of the meeting.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry I missed that.
That's good.
Well, good morning. And as you know, I'm Holly Sample. I want to thank Commissioners Williams and Stone for coming to our Red Angels meeting and for Stephanie as well, the other night. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I brought my notes just so I don't get all mixed up, but I don't know if you know, I live right outside of Cripple Creek in Highland Meadows, and so I consider this my community. And I'm here to talk about the recent news release regarding interagency cooperation to address crime and homelessness in Teller County and the city of Cripple Creek. And I'm encouraged by the mention in that letter of forthcoming short-term and long-term efforts and policies to address those solutions or those problems. But I know that I and other members of the community will be looking forward to more specific information about those solutions and more data about the crime and homelessness and how they interact. In the meantime, I'm concerned about statements that seem to conflate crime and homelessness. These are both serious problems, but I would like to see more data about specific crimes before attributing them all to the homeless population. And indeed, as the most vulnerable members of our community, I think the homeless are very likely to also be victims of crime. Southern Teller County, we're fortunate to be growing, and we're experiencing both the benefits and the negative impacts of that. And so this is a great time to get ahead of the negative impacts. In January, reporter Pat Hill wrote a story in the Courier where she described the detritus around campsites where people were living on mineral and carbonate hills. And the stuffed animals and toys alongside the other debris are what caught my attention and hurt my heart. As she said, this is the dark side of Cripple Creek. And in the last 6 months, I've been volunteering at the Aspen Mine Center community of caring, where I've seen the bright and beautiful side. As you know, many individuals and agencies come together there to see that our citizens have food and clothing, receive medical care, find jobs, and so much more. And many of the volunteers there are people who have benefited from those programs and are giving back to the community. As Commissioner Stone said in that letter that was released, only by working together as citizens, law enforcement, and business can we begin to have a deterrent on criminal elements in Teller County. So I'm here this morning to ask you to consider taking a wide view of the problem and engaging more community stakeholders, business people, property owners, church members, educators, social service agencies, as well as people who are experiencing homelessness. Let's convene all these people and work together to ensure that we have prosperous and sustainable, safe community development. So as I mentioned, and as you know, I'm part of a local group called Braver Angels, and we conduct workshops and community meetings intended to bring a wide array of people together to develop skills to talk about important issues. With help from the Braver Angels organization, we would be glad to help organize a series of town hall meetings designed to dig into the data that further define the problems of crime and homelessness in Teller County, identify root causes, and brainstorm local solutions. If you already have plans to bring people together and you don't need our help, please just let me know how I can contribute. Thank you.
Say it there if you want, Holly. If I could, Mr. Chair, just, again, we really were bragging about you for guidance, so we'll repeat a few of the things, but then I can fill you in. Thank you so much for taking on probably the toughest thing with election integrity. A lot of tension in the room, Eric and I had some conversations after the meeting. Did we change any minds? No, but that wasn't the intent. I think people could go home and say, I sat next to a Republican or Democrat, and it was really neat to see the calm now. So thank you so much. We had law enforcement there. I think that was nice as well, just to make sure. And I think overall, there are no election deniers here today. I'll just tell you that. And we've had them before. And again, I'm not picking on you, but we've all heard the stories. You did a great job. With regards to homelessness, and I'm really glad you're here, so we can hear it in person. So that statement was designed to start a conversation. It was designed to answer part of what happened that we still can't talk about, that horrific crime that you're aware of. And as you know, I live 4 miles from here too, so Cripple Creek is my home too, and I grew up here. There is a lot of empathy on this board for homelessness. There, before the grace of God, to all of us. A bad divorce, bad financial decisions, we're all up there. As I mentioned before you got here, Holly, when I was a kid, we called them mountain men, and a lot of them were veterans. They were, I got buried 1 month and a half ago, we lived in the woods for 30 years. You may recall a few years ago, we buried a veteran. We found dead in his car who was living in Catamount, all over. And this is an issue, as you know, much bigger than Teller County. It's also federal. So we work really close. And so there is no attempt in that letter to vilify the homeless. In fact, I sit on the Aspen Mine Center board. Bob sits on Community Partnership. Eric sits on Senior Coalition. So a lot of love, a lot of empathy. I have served Thanksgiving dinner here to homeless for years, even before I was a commissioner. So that aside, Jason and I talked last night. He would be here today. He's up right now working with Senator Baisley in Denver on some legislation to tighten up on crime. He wanted me to remind anybody he would bring it up. You have some nefarious activity, and you said it exactly right. There are warlords, I'll just use the Afghan term when I was in combat, that are amongst the homeless, that are taking advantage of the homeless, that are preying on them. There are, not a day goes by where we don't get a call about unadulterated sewage going into a stream that then goes down, that then is received by someone's well. Their public safety, we have found felons, we have found meth labs, we have found fentanyl. So none of that's directed at a homeless person that truly has made some bad decisions and that we can pull them out and give them a hand up. It's really designed to say there are folks among us that are fighting to push us on. And then, not to get political, but we do have some laxing of standards and crime statistics and standards in Colorado. We can't keep them in jail anymore. The other thing, Jason, wanted me to remind folks is that we have a mental health crisis. I sit on the mental health alliance, I think you as well as you're aware. So we do have some people up here, and Riley, for example, where Jerry and I come from, it's no joke. It's minus 30, in the wintertime. We have children. I missed my presentation on CASA, but that's this coming Wednesday. We have an obligation to under state statutes to go take care of kids that we find out there too. And you're right, Jerry knows the property. We went to look. Eric was with me one day with code enforcement a couple of months ago, and you can see the toys. And as soon as you see that, it changes, it melts you. And go, wait a minute, this is squalor. Call it whatever we want. And then there's people that don't want help. There's that need. So I welcome a larger conversation. And again, that wasn't a standalone. It was really designed to bring folks like you here to say, hey, we got a problem, let's look at it. But there was an outcry after that last crime that did involve some homeless folks. We talked to our casino operators, for example, all 3 of us, and what they do is they fire people. They try to hire them where they fire them, but where do they go? And the truth is, we don't have a homeless shelter up here. We do have faith-based communities. We have great people like you. We all try to help and donate our time, but we don't have capacity. And so as winter gets closer, as we start to see fentanyl increase here, which it has, Eric Hayden sits on the opioid council and gave a wonderful presentation about how bad that really is and what it's leading to. We're so close to the springs that that's what we're starting to see. So, and we've had bodies dumped up here, so I just, again, apologize to you if it appeared that we were attacking homeless people. It wasn't. It's an element within that population that's different than when I was here as a kid or when Jerry first got here. It's not the mountain men, it's not the veteran. Most of the veterans I know that live like that when we left alone, these are people that are pretty folks. I just wanted to say, that's not pushback, call it just. Oh, yeah.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for coming today. As Commissioner Weiss mentioned, I serve on the Route 16 opioid treatment council. That's the word I was forgetting. But one of the big issues that we deal with down there, and we hear a lot about, and there are some of our stakeholders that take part in our conversations, is the Springs Rescue Mission, and those who do not only work with homeless, but also of course work with the chronically addicted. And I think that's the big change that we're seeing, talking about, and it ties into them. It ties into the opioid crisis, but it also ties into kids as well. And in our work on Board of Human Services, we get, firsthand knowledge of our own departments that's who's responsible for now having to go out and figure out, what are the conditions that some of these kids are in? And sometimes they go in and they're like, you know what? They have, ways to bathe, they're fed, they're getting educated. It may not, they may not be living overall in conditions that any of us would choose, and maybe even that they wouldn't choose if they had that power, but as long as, they're being well cared for, then, that's what we're wanting to see. And, I've always said that there's nothing compassionate about seeing people living in a homeless situation, seeing families living in a homeless situation. There's nothing compassionate about helping them maintain that. I want more than that for those people. And for some of them, and unfortunately, we've experienced it, more recently where we have seen violence, and more significant criminal activity. And it's not rooted in homelessness, but homelessness is part of it. And you're exactly right in your comment where you said, well, not all homeless are, you're exactly right, not all homeless are, but we cannot ignore that there are people that are living homeless that are simply here because they don't want to be seen somewhere else. And it's either because they're living lifestyle, or they just don't want anybody else to see them. But, they've got a rap sheet, they've got warrants, they've got people looking for them. They need, to be responsible for things that they, that they're trying to escape from. And just like, when I first moved here, it was the Texas 7. You were probably around then. And it exists. I mean, it's like they come here, and probably like all of us, they come here and they feel safe, right? They get to the mountains, oh, we're safe here, and we can hide in the forest, and, and that shields us. And while we all enjoy that level of peace that we get from that, we can't ignore that, there is a problem which is increasing. Homelessness is part of that, but there's nothing passionate about leaving people where they are, and not recognizing that, unfortunately, illicit drugs plays a huge role in it. And as a byproduct of illicit drugs, you get human trafficking. You get the continued dealing of drugs, which is, the issue around here. Because they don't have to deal a lot of drugs to get enough money to maintain a lifestyle of living, in a trailer they don't own, on property they don't own. So, having those conversations, I know that the sheriff and the chief of police in Cripple Creek had a meeting just the other day to talk about some of the things that you talked about, which is getting the proper stakeholders together to have these discussions about what is this going to be. And we also recognize that with the coming of fall means that we're going to have some cold nights coming up. And winter has a little bit of a cleansing effect on our homeless population because it's brutal. They come up here at 10,000 feet, they don't realize what that means. And it kind of flushes them out, but they have to have a plan for what happens when winter goes away. And I think that's what a lot of this is about. What's that plan? What are we going to do, both from a law enforcement, but also a community standpoint?
Yeah, if I could, to Eric's point, I usually don't speak for Jason, but I did talk to him in the vacation for the company. He is working very closely with the PD here. It's a jurisdictional issue. Rather than going after homeless folks out there trying to sort it out, because that's what ends up happening. They go to the judge, like it might be a trailer, it might be Jerry's land. I mean, we've seen everything, and it's so much worse than when we were younger. I'll just tell you, they're coming in Cripple Creek now, and so what he's doing, along with the PD, is looking for over-serving, looking for illicit sex, looking for all that stuff here to address the crime, whether they live in a mansion or they live homeless. And that may have an effect as well in sorting out the predators from the people that are truly trying to stand up on them. So just wanted to Mr. Cherry,
No, I think it's something we're very aware of, and we understand that there's distinct differences between some of those demographics. People who have just fallen on hard time, and people that it's a way of life, and it's their way of life that promotes illegalities in a lot of their life. But we have to distinguish the difference. Help those that want to be helped, but not also promote the idea that living out there is the best answer in the world, because it's not.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I do realize and I appreciate that you see what a complex problem and situation it is. And, again, if we can help, if I can help, please, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for last night. Appreciate it. Or Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
All right, other citizens that would like to address the board? Yes, Don, you can come up if you'd like. What is there? Yes.
Hi, my name is Garrett Hall. I'm here to thank County Commissioners Bob Campbell, Dan Williams, and Eric Stone for coming and supporting me and my brother at the Teller County Livestock Veteran Auction this year. With their help, I am able to donate 100 pounds of ground beef to the Aspen Mine Center tomorrow. And thank you guys. I have a few gifts for you.
Private officials, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Picture with you guys. Come on up, sir. Stanley makes us cry every time we talk. Well, Mom.
It's not true.
You wanna get in there? Alright. Look at me, I'm 3, 1, 2, 3. Good job. Good job. I'm really proud of you guys. Thank you, sir.
These, let me see if you want. Sure. Hey, these kids, let's stay up here for a minute. These kids, their grandpa, their mom, their dad who's in here today. You guys make us tear up every time we see you. You hear a lot about our youth. You hear a lot about people that don't plug in, social media, gaming, you know, whatever. These guys are grounded. You're a great example of Ripple Creek and what we're trying to be in Teller County. You're who we come to work for every day. You know our commitment to fairgrounds, what we're trying to do, and we're proud 4-H members. It's still a rural county. You know, we have a diverse county here with folks that haven't been to this part of the county, that live in Woodland Park, that commute. But you're a reminder of why we try so hard, because you're about our future. So we love you guys. And Mom, you and your dad are doing great. Grandpa's doing good. Whatever you did, you know, keep it up. It's probably in our water, but I don't know. Here, Bob.
Yeah, obviously, I've been involved in 4-H for a long time because all my kids did 4-H. It's gonna be close to 30 years ago now. And most of what they did was the indoor projects where you guys obviously do some livestock projects and some other things too, but I'm a big supporter. It builds young community, it builds youth that turn into great leaders and great adults. And you guys are off to a great start. We really appreciate what you guys do and how you represent the 4-H groups, how you represent other kids in the community and the farming and agriculture community. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I guess I'll hold this slide up here. But no, thank you for this. And, but even bigger than that, is thank you for thinking of other people and donating, ground beef to the Aspen Mine Center. One of the things that you guys are already learning, which a lot of people don't learn until later in life, is that, you work really hard. And once you work hard and you've seen the benefit of your hard work, is it's always important to turn around and then give back a little. And you guys are doing that. You're starting very young doing it. And I can tell you that it's going to pay off in spades, not directly, but, as you get older, you're going to find that people will begin to look to you guys for leadership. I think they already are, even among your peers. So I just hope that when you guys are growing up, that you're still here in Teller County. I know a lot of times our own youth, my own kids, are no longer in Teller County, and I'd love to have them back here. But anyway, as you go out into the world, whether it's here or somewhere else, I know both of you are going to be great leaders. And Gage, for you, I know you're the younger of the two, but you remind me of me because I passed my brother in height about the same age that you're passing your brother. And so, and for Garrett, for you is, when you're You're seeing your brother. The good news is you're not gonna have to share clothes with him for very long. He's gonna keep growing like that. Thank you, guys, and congratulations on a great year.
What time are you guys going to the house?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
We'll be there at 8 to start putting bags together and then they'll start handing out at 9.
And I've got your picture with your animal right at the beginning of my office.
I'll put this in the headquarters here so you always know.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming.
Again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to come and do this morning. It's a great presentation. Jerry, would you like to speak?
Be hard for you to follow that one, Jerry.
I only got a few things. One thing I wanted to say, you're talking about the house please, I live on 67, so much as I love leaves, I hate this time of year. I don't know if it's possible, one idea I had that might help at least with some of them. Does the county have any of those flashing road signs where you can put up within 67, enjoy the leaves? Don't stop in the road, don't eat.
It's good.
Because I have also, like you come around the corner, most just scream people, stop in the middle of the road, can take picture of leaves or the goats.
We could probably talk to CDOT on the big signs and get them adjusted to signs.
Yeah, I don't know if you could get CDOT to do it, but I think that would help at least in some measure. As far as that.
You already did.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
and then two, on my last visit, of course, I irritated all you guys, and some of that was a little bit intentional. Because I just wanted you to see it through somebody else's eyes. You're coming in, there, I know what you're doing, you're finding problems and fixing them, that's good. Some of them are just working people that have problems, it's just, this is who they are and this is how they are. And they get very irritated about that. So my father used to have a saying I didn't understand when I was younger, but as I got older, I understood that there's right, wrong, and legal. And I would just ask you to bear in mind when you do your stuff, just because you do something that's legal doesn't make it necessarily right, doesn't necessarily make them wrong. And like I said, your job is hard, I don't discount that in any shape, form, or fashion. But like I told you, I would keep coming and telling you this to remind you of that. Because I talked to a lot of people, talked to a guy who lived here for years and told us what was going on. And his first comment said, well, I moved out here to be left alone. I said, well, it isn't the same place it used to be, but yeah, I understand that. And so I'm gonna keep coming and reminding you that even with all the good stuff you do, there's still people who are not gonna be happy with you. I really haven't complained, I don't like excessive government, but like I said, when I moved here, there was one sheriff, but that was 40 years ago. I could drive from Crook Creek to Divine Little Day and not see a car. And those changes come with it, and you have to roll with those punches, but that's just the biggest thing. Just remember, some people that you think you're helping, you're just making their life harder. That's all I ask you, and I'll be back in 2 weeks to tell you this again.
Good. All right.
Okay, yeah, if you could do the sign thing, I think that,
Yeah, I think we've got it working already.
I almost bid on a couple of signs to go, just put one out by my road to slow some of that down, so,
Thank you for coming today.
thank you.
Any other public that doesn't have items on the agenda today, would like to speak to the board? All right. The weather, so we'll move on to our administration item, consider a resolution to amend various 2024 department fund budgets. Administration, Mr. Herzog.
What's the right? We're going to take it to around resolution 32, correct? Before you is resolution number 09-26-2024 32, and this is a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge and jail enterprise fund budgets. Whereas in the past, the county has recognized significant savings from employment turnover that the Board of County Commissioners could consider for use in other areas. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners has directed staff to make a monthly budget adjustment by transferring transferring personnel-related funds from individual departments to holding departments within each fund as personnel budget needs are reduced, and from holding departments to individual departments as personnel budget needs increased within the county policy, and whereas funds budgeted in the above referenced holding departments which have been added to each fund as personnel contingency departments ending in the numbers 2190 are not appropriated nor available for expenditure and are only accessible by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners transferring them to other departmental budget accounts, and whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds, determines, and declares that adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. So again, this is the resolution to amend the 2024 General Road and Bridge and Jail Enterprise Fund budgets. So now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that the departmental budgets and personnel contingency department accounts be decreased as follows. And I'll summarize by fund. So the general fund is $290,534. Road and Bridge Fund is $6,582. Jail Enterprise Fund is $153,522. And that the departmental budgets and personnel contingency department accounts be increased as follows. Again, I'll summarize by fund. The general fund, $290,534. Road and Bridge Fund, $6,582. Jail Enterprise Fund, $153,522. And that the amounts appropriated for expenditure be reduced and increased accordingly, adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, this 26th day of September 2024.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Herzog?
No questions.
The only thing I'd like to note is the trend goes out through the year, these numbers are much smaller than we've had in the past. So obviously this rates to personnel dollars, and we've got a few of these departments that are fully staffed or getting close to it, so. Just that, I'll open this resolution up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this budget resolution? All right, hearing none, what's your choice, gentlemen, on this resolution?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve resolution number 0926/2024, number 32, a resolution to amend the 2024 General Road and Bridge and Jail Enterprise Fund budgets and have it attached to the written minutes to show the details of the budget adjustments.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. You gonna do this one too?
Yes, sir.
Next up,
had someone coming in.
Yes.
Last year, did you want to do arts? Yeah, I can read it.
all right, we're going to consider a proclamation recognizing October 2024 as Art Month in Teller County. Mr. Stone, would you like to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is something, that Luke's Copper reaches out to us every year to raise attention towards the arts in Teller and El Paso counties. And as many of you know, my family's been involved for many years in a lot of different music activities, whether it was my children in the Colorado Springs Children's Chorale, or myself now with my activities now that I'm not living vicariously through my children, that I've gotten back into the arts again, and actually wanted to raise attention to on October 5th, there'll be a concert in Colorado Springs called BoCC being put on by a new local chamber group called Choral Song. That was started by Maestro Daniel Price, who's the now retired head of music for the United States Air Force. He started a chamber group, and he will be hosting and conducting a Bach Fest on October 5th, which I believe is Sunday in Colorado Springs at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. If you're a lover of Bach, you're going to love this full orchestra, as well as a chamber vocal group and a group of soloists from literally across the country are coming in to do about 10, 12 different Bach pieces, including Bach's Magnificat. The rest of them are all in German. I won't even attempt their names. But you know, if you're a lover of Bach, lover of classical music, it will be great to go to. But with that, I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Sit back on so I can do that. Proclamation recognizing October 2024 as Arts Month in Teller County. Whereas the month of October has been recognized as National Arts and Humanities Month by thousands of arts and cultural organizations, communities, and states across the U.S., as well as the White House and Congress for nearly 30 years, and for 11 years here in the Pikes Peak region. Whereas the arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of every American, including those of us living in and visiting the Pikes Peak region. And whereas the arts positively support mental well-being, community cohesion, education, healing, economic vitality, tourism, and our quality of life. Whereas the arts, culture, for-profit, and nonprofit sectors represent an over $1 trillion American industry, 4.4% of our national GDP, 16.9 billion of which is in Colorado, that supports 4.85 million American jobs and 102,383 jobs in Colorado. Whereas the arts are a proven civic engagement tool and can bring people together across difference in challenging times. Whereas cultural heritage, creativity, and innovation are an intrinsic part of the history of Teller County and our shared future. Now, therefore, the Teller County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims October 2024 as Arts Month in Teller County, Colorado, and urges all citizens to recognize this month as Arts Month.
Thank you, sir. Any additional?
Yeah, I had an opportunity, so Angela Seals could still walk in, and this is her project, is the Pikes Peak Region Cultural Arts Community, and they actually interviewed me last week about it, which was kind of neat, so I was hoping they were going to be here, so you could find them on social media, but keeping in themes with Braver Angels, Eric and Bob and I talking about the division has to stop in this country. One of the questions, they don't ask you any questions, you know, what's art meaning, that kind of thing. And the way I answer that, just so you know, is art is uniquely personal. It's the environment around you, it could be music, it could be an object that you're creating, and it's your interpretation. And what's cool about it, the second question was, how does that bring community together? You think about how does art bring community together? Well, when we go look at art, when we go to a Bach festival, we do something like that, it helps us understand how someone else looks at the world. It helps us empathize. It helps us realize that it's not just about us. We're not the center of the universe. We're all part of the same thing. So it's really wonderful. So she's got a series of videos out there if you want to see Williams work through that. You can see it. But they were very impressed that rural counties appreciate art. She actually told me that. And I said, no, we really do. That's why everybody's standing on the side of the road with one of these right now, because we're surrounded by art called leaves. And that's nature's art. One of the best canvas you'll ever see on the planet. So, but thank you for sir. We definitely support the arts. And again, Victor will have the art show not too long for now. There's lots going on this time. So, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and obviously, my family's been involved in arts and music, and once upon a time, I was quite involved in some jazz things. I wasn't necessarily employed, but once in my life, when I was like 24 years old, I had a paying gig. One paying gig. Got to record a music show for the TV pilot that didn't get picked up, but I actually got paid to be there one time. So with that, I'd be happy to make a motion to accept the proclamation recognizing October 2024 as Art Month in Teller County.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Right, so we know the discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, for the important part of our life, everyday occurrences. I think we have one item that is in the packet and one that was added to it late. So Mr. Herzog, we have community business items.
Thank you, sir. So before you, there are a couple items. The first one is consider approval of the commercial real estate agreement with Cripple Creek Victor School District, RE1. This is a renewal. It is backdating from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. And this is the space that the Teller County Public Health and Environment occupies as the tenant. It has a monthly agreed upon amount of $300, and each party could terminate with 30 days notice if desired. But it works well, gets us over in to the school system for our health department, and no concerns with this, sir.
Any questions, gentlemen?
No, sir.
No, sir.
What would be your choice on this agreement?
Sure, I move that we approve the commercial real estate agreement with Cripple Creek Victor School District, RE1, as presented.
Second?
Thank you, gentlemen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
You, second item, so this was an additional administrative matter that was received after the agenda deadline. It is from the State of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. It's an amendment contract. It's amendment number 2 to the contract. You actually saw this item during our last hearing. That was the amendment 1, which changed the dates. This is also changing the termination dates to 10/15/24, so it's just recognizing the later date. However, there was also some other changes internally with how the allocation of the funding was distributed between various parts for the health, or between the nurses and directors and spending. The bottom line is that there is no indirect change to the dollar amounts. The original contract was $53,047. This contract is $53,047. They just went through and wanted to get the best use of how that funding was being spent between the line items, so almost like a rebalance, so.
It's the budget last 2 pages that were added for specifics for expenses.
But other than that, no concerns with this matter.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Sir.
What would be your choice on the contract amendment number 2?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve contract amendment number 2 between Teller County, State of Colorado, Department of Public Health and Environment. I guess I should say between, no, I'll just say Board County Commissioner, that's fine. As presented.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. That's all I have in front of me. Mr. Herzog, anything else?
No additional matters, sir.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. If there's nothing else to be brought in front of this board, I have 10:33. We shall adjourn today's Board of County Commissioner meetings.